Hello, 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 everyone. Um, Welcome to Doing Marriage with Rob and Mel. Um, hey, Jackie. Glad to see everyone out tonight, and glad everyone is joining us. I'm trying, if you would like and share tonight, we would greatly appreciate it. So we can go ahead and get started. You probably will see a little slightly different background. We're turned a little differently because Rob is fixing salads for the family. Um, we getting in from dance practice and grass cutting and all of that good stuff.
What's
So,
going on, good people?
so we are um, getting it in. So hopefully, hey Allison, I hope you all can see us and the light is not too bright. Um,
You can actually swing it your way.
Hello. Okay. Let us know if you're having trouble seeing us or anything. Hey, Mike. Hope you all are doing well. Hey, Latanya. Good to see everyone checking in tonight. So, want to let you all know we have put out the information for the marriage conference. It will be November 13th and 14th. It will be locally at the Courtyard Marriott um, on Hayes Mall Boulevard. So we would do something that Friday night, um, and then we would do something that Saturday morning. We will have an in-person option and a virtual option as well. Um, and the information is in our group is on the group page and on our public page. So all the information will continue to share more information about the conference. We just couldn't not have it. We've had people ask about it. So hopefully we will get a good turnout. Um, Either so for those of you who are not comfortable coming face to face, we will be practicing social distancing,
We have three or two rooms.
masking. So we have two conference rooms so that we're able to practice social distancing. Um, so we do have that, and then we'll also have a Zoom link available um, as well. So
Hey, bring a friend, bring a couple.
yes, so definitely like and share the information, and we will go from there. We're excited. We're going to do some things differently. We may call on some of you to help us out this year. So please share your information with with your friends. We put on there is for married couples, engaged couples, and those who just thinking about it. So um, it's for everybody. And we were hoping, hey Lynn, we were hoping we would be able to travel, but we just did not want to chance it this year. But prayerfully next year we will be able to do that, and everything will be back to um, I don't know if I want to say normal, but we'll be able to travel and a lot of restrictions, and we'll be able to know how to maneuver and manage better than we currently are. We've traveled a few times since COVID has been in place. We haven't had any issues. We just make sure that we practice social distancing. We have our Lysol, we have our masks, and so we just try to remain safe. And so we haven't had any issues. Um, and I just think that's just going to be, our new norm. Um, and that's just the way it has to be. All right. So if you have any questions, you can email us at doingmarriage@gmail, or you can inbox us if you have any questions about the retreat conference. we'll be more than happy to help. Hi, Mia. Good to see you. So tonight, I was looking through Black and Married with Kids.com. They have a lot of articles that are always good, and I love how they always they raise up issues that are relevant and that are happening today and stuff that we're dealing with. And so today they had a question, and it said, I thought it was an interesting question. It said, how to avoid infidelity or an entanglement situation when you and your spouse need a break. So um, I thought the title was interesting. And when I posted the article on our page and in our group setting, I put the question, can you avoid it? You know, can someone, there was a book we did, I think we went over last year or year before last, um, and the book talked about affair proofing your marriage. And we talked about how is that truly a thing? Um, because at the end of the day, you can do all of these steps, A through Z, but at the end of the day, it's based on those individuals and choices that they make. But we're going to go through and see. We really want dialogue tonight. We want to hear what you all have to say. We want to hear your questions. We want to hear your comments um, about this. So it starts out and it says, we don't often hear infidelity in a marriage described as an entanglement, but lately, of course, that's all we're talking about. And how do we avoid infidelity, emotional infidelity, and wondering how we can prevent a similar situation happening to us. So, just in case you've been living under a rock, we all know that the word entanglement came from that whole Will, Jada, and August. What's the boy's last name? I don't know his last name. Matter of fact, I had never heard of the poor child till all of this came out, unfortunately. But August, Will, and Jada, that whole entanglement, that since that has come about, that word entanglement has, come out. And so what it sounds like, if you listen to the 15-minute red table conversation that Jada had with Will, it sounded like it may have started out with emotional infidelity. So there was some emotional needs that um, she had, and she had some issues that she had not dealt with. He had some um, emotional issues. And they talked about how this young man was sick, and I think he was dealing with drug addictions and some other things. And I will be the first to say, you all, none of us know the whole situation, and we're not here to debate that. I'm not here to debate who was right, who was wrong, who did what, who went where, because none of us lived in that house. What I am saying is, what we are going to talk about is how you have to be mindful of when situations can come about, and being aware in your own relationships when these cracks, we always talk about cracks in our relationship, when these cracks can open and things can seep through. Um, and then these entanglements, be it mental, be it physical, emotional, spiritual, we have seen spiritual entanglements where people have been spiritually manipulated in relationships. So there's a lot of ways that this thing can go, and we have to be careful about that. So it says we likely don't want to think about how to deal with infidelity, however it is, but the reality is that we are stressed, and we feel pressures that we have never felt before. Things are very different now. Our world is so different. We live very differently than we did this time last year. We operate very differently than we did this time last year. And that can be extremely stressful. That can be scary. That can have you reacting in ways that you normally don't react in. And so some of us are nearing our breaking point. Hey, Lisa. Um, some of us are nearing our breaking points, and our spouse seems to always be in the direct line of fire because we're around each other more. We don't necessarily get the breaks we used to get. So if you feel like you need a break, it's okay. However, hey Dion, before you decide to risk it all and completely check out of your marriage, learn how to avoid entanglement situations and when you and your spouse need a break. So, um, first, let's talk about what does it mean when you need a break. Because if you married, it ain't no breaking. Not no we not no we truly having a break. Now, if you dating, you may have the luxury of saying you go over here for a little while, you go over here for a little while. Merc- yes, he's cooking, Mercedes. Ain't God good? How you doing? Yes, he's cooking. Fixing some salads. Hey, Miss Jackie. Hey, D.
An entanglement, y'all. An entanglement.
You gonna say hey? Say hey, everybody. Hi. Okay. Going on. You all right? Let me get you. Stop, girl. You should be. No. Stop. Okay. All right. Um. Hi, D. So, the question begins, how do you define even a break? Because we have had um, more um, more together time than normal. And so a lot of times there's times when you need just that separation time because it's everything is just different than what it normally is. So a break means you and your partner are pressing the pause button in order to reset. And so what happens during that reset is what matters most. And the question is it healthy to reset, and what does that reset look like? And so again, it's not a physical breaking, but it is just a resetting to take a step back to say, time out, wait a minute, where are we? We need to reassess. We need to look at where we are and what we need to do. So, that's right, Lynn. You got to go to your closet and take a time out. That's right, because if you're married, you don't get to leave the house. So that's why you got it's more or less a mental and emotional reset. And saying where are we? We got to figure this out. You don't get to leave. If you're married, you don't get to leave. We do not get to leave. You can't fix what's wrong in your house outside of your house. Now, remember we said unless there's some physical endangerment, we taking all that off the table because we know that's something totally different. However, you can't fix what's wrong in your house outside of your house because you're gonna make that crack even wider, unless you all have truly have some irreconcilable differences and you are truly separating. But we're trying to avoid that happening. We're not going down that road. What we're trying to avoid is there being an entanglement, infidelity. There's been a crack in the relationship, and we need to reset. Okay. Um, it is each person's responsibility to know your boundaries, to know how to avoid um, entanglements. You have to know what your boundaries are, because what your boundaries are may be very, very different than your partner's. But you have to communicate those boundaries as well. It can be a difficult time, and there are significant things that couples experience when they reach a point in the relationship where they need to figure out what to do next. So we're going to go through a few things that the article talked about. If you all had the opportunity to read it today, but we're going to go through a few things that it talked about, and we're going to discuss it, and we want to hear your feedback. Now, I will say this. So I like to give this caveat because I don't know everyone's belief system that joins us, because everyone may not believe the same thing that we believe as far as spiritual. Um, so whenever we discuss anything spiritual, Robert and I are Christians. We believe in Jesus Christ. However, if that's not your belief system and you have another belief system, you pull on that. We will say that. However, that's no, I'm fine right now, baby. That's where we will come from, and that's always the perspective we will always come from, in how we when we present. So the first thing it says is to pray when you realize you are at that point. The first thing it will say is pray for your marriage and yourself, and have an expectation for God to change things. When your marriage is going through difficult times, the first thing that this article said it, and it would be the first thing that Rob and I would tell you. You got to pray. First of all, I will say this: prayer already needs to be a staple in your relationship, and it shouldn't be your first line of defense. It should have already been a part of the offense in your relationship. That way, it may be something that already helps you to avoid this to begin with. Yeah, I was getting ready to pull you in.
So, one second. So with it's easy for us to point blame. It's easy for us to be accused and to be the accuser, of course. But when you're praying for God to change things, sometimes those things are each other. So you can't be so convictionary of your mate or whatever the situation is that you don't take a self-reflection in the mirror for yourself. So you have to at all um, uh, not just to play the blame game, but with prayer, nothing can change with prayer until you're willing to change as well. So I just want to throw that in there just as a point of clarity. Yes, we want God to change things. We want God to change our financial situations. Sometimes that comes with us changing some environments that we're in. So sometimes, we have to look at ourselves as well and what we're doing as well. So I just want to throw that in there.
That's good, Pat. So when we talk about praying, one of the things we may not be aware of is that there's something we say in weddings that truly is scripture. It's not just a saying, but it's scripture. And it's Matthew 19:6. And it says, so they are no longer two, but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let no man or woman separate. So it's not just something cute, it's biblical. And so when you are um, praying and realizing that your relationship, that your marriage is a covenant between you, your spouse, and God. Unless you, okay. But understanding that prayer is powerful, and you have to be honest and sincere. And back to Rob's point, it can't be so much pointing the finger at your spouse. The best thing you can do, because the only person you can truly control in your marriage is yourself. Yeah. So the question becomes, what can I do to make this better? Y'all quiet tonight, so I don't know if what we're saying is just over your head, or you don't agree, or it's okay. But we need to hear something. But y'all know we both preachers by vocation, so we need that call and response a little bit sometimes. But seriously though, the question becomes that the only person that you can um control is yourself. You can't control your spouse, no matter how much you try to manipulate, you try to play games, you might try to toy with them and play games with sex, with money. At the end of the day, the only person you can control is you. And so the prayer has to be, while you're asking God to cover. Mike said we here. Okay, Mike, I just want to make sure you hear. Um, while you're asking God to cover and to help, but also make sure that you are reflecting on yourself to make me. One of the things I pray almost every day is, God, help me to be a better spouse. I want to be a better parent. Let me be the best parent to hope I can be. Let me be the best spouse. Let me listen more, communicate better. And so having that foundation is just important for us to have, because it's times at, even when I have to have hard conversations with Rob, I have those conversations with God first. When I can't talk to anybody else, I will talk to God first before I ever go to Rob, because sometimes those conversations are just hard to have. And to, yes, Lynn, prayer is most important together and individually. Yes, practicing self-control. Galatians 5, check your fruit. Yes, that's it. Your fruit. Galatians 5 is very good. The fruit of the Spirit. Love, patience, kindness, gentleness, and definitely their self-control. All of that is important, because we will, and the crazy part is, and I didn't list all of the fruits, but the crazy part is we will practice those fruits with everybody else except for the people we live in the house with. We will. We will do everything we possibly can to practice, you know, making sure we patient with other people, that we showing love to everybody else, to, we got self-control, that, we practice temperance and all of this. However, we got to make sure we do it at the house. Your home, your marriage is your first ministry. is your first priority before anything else. And we have to remember that above all things. So pray for your strength. Um, if you have people that you know truly pray for your marriage, that they truly pray for it, you don't even have to give them details. Um, but that you but you know that they cover your marriage. Like we know there's a few people who truly cover our marriage, and we can say we just need you praying. They don't have to know what's going on, but sometimes you have to call in intercessors to ask them to pray. And those who you know are genuine, they're not praying preying on your marriage, but they're truly pr- praying praying. He done got real comfortable up here praying, look, cooking. Anyway, but those who you know are truly praying and interceding for your relationship, call on them. If you know that things that you really need people interceding for you, definitely do that. And this article talk, there's no shame in asking for prayer. Part of the problem is we live in shame sometimes because we don't want to talk about it or let anyone know. And so we try to fight by ourselves. But sometimes you need help in the fight. You need somebody helping you when you don't have the strength sometimes to fight for yourself or to fight. I remember one time we were going through a very, very rough patch, and I felt like I was fighting by myself. This was probably about 15 years ago, and I felt like I was fighting by myself. And I knew a couple of prayer warriors, and I just had to call them. I was like, I need help because I was getting tired. I was getting tired, and they helped me fight through a very rough time in our relationship. So um, and it's okay. Um, Sometimes you just have to be willing to just you don't have to let everybody in, but a few trusted people that you can um, to help you. The next thing is um, set clear goals for what's happening while you all are resetting. Write down your goals. Write the vision. Write your goals. Figure out what's going on. Um, Take the opportunity um, to be intentional and deliberate. Now, this article, I don't agree. It's talking about well, I'm sorry, I do. It says to be intentional and deliberate when establishing your guidelines. And when they're talking about taking a break. They're actually talking about a physical break. I don't agree with that. Rob and I don't agree with that because we truly do not believe that your relationship can be fixed outside of your home. We don't. But you can still do this. So it's not a break. It is a reset where you sit back and you say, "This is where we are. We gotta reset." I don't believe that this is us. We don't believe that you can fix what's in your house outside unless you all have come to some serious issues that you cannot resolve, um, you know, that you can't resolve, and you got to do that. But we're talking about where you both have just like you felt disconnected and emotionally you have just drained or you tapped out. Um, Sister Jackie, it would be short term and long term goals. Um, because you got to decide where do you want your relationship to go. Because one thing we do know, one thing we have learned is that most couples don't start out writing goals down. They don't start out with expectations. They don't start out saying this is where we want to go. So what happens is, or they start out and they lose sight and they never revisit it again. Um, so um, so then with that, um, with revisiting, you have to constantly, because our goals change, our priorities change, our needs change. And so what happens is we make these goals, we make these things that happen, but we never revisit it again. So it's important for us to definitely um, make sure we set these goals and we create a solid foundation. Um, um, we have to create a strategy for success, even in the midst of discomfort. So, even when things don't seem to be going well, um, but you both have to want it. One of the things we do when couples come to us for counseling, our very first question is we ask both of them, "Do you want your marriage to work?" Um, that is our question, because we have to make sure that the end game is the same for both. Um, then we can work on how do we get there. Because if both people don't want it to work, then we're going to be going in two opposite directions. So we have to make sure that um, it's hard to be in a marriage and feel like you have a roommate and not a spouse. Absolutely. Communication and prayer are important. It is extremely important. Um, I know Rob and I shared this before. It was early in our marriage, but we were about 5 years in, and that is pretty much where we were. And what happened? He was working a very different shift, and so it we had to readjust, and we didn't know how to readjust because when we first got married, we were on the same shifts. Um, Everything was fine, so we didn't have to work hard at making sure we prayed together. We didn't have to work hard at spending time together because our schedules were the same. And so when his schedule changed, um, then our we didn't see each other as much. We didn't get to pray together. It kind of it drifted off, and before we knew it, things stopped, and our communication slacked off, our prayer time slacked off, and then that crack just kept getting wider and wider without us even really realizing how large it had gotten. And so by the time we really realized it, we had a lot of work to do because we had let this crack get really big. So you have to be very intentional about, because we were operating like roommates. We were passing each other in the night. He was on second shift.
Second.
He was on second shift. I was on first shift. So when he came home, I was asleep. When I went to work, he was asleep. So it was just very hard. And so we had to, hey John, we had to work very hard to get back on track. And the thing is, it's you can so easily get off track, but it takes so much work to get back on track. You wanna add something?
No,
Okay.
please just
Okay.
yeah, you banging it.
So the next thing is it says that you truly have to make a conscious decision to commit to being faithful. Uh, it says it's so easy to be tempted by the shiny and new of someone else, but those relationships have yet to experience the realness of life. The bills, the children, the family, and stress that come with marriage aren't there when you think you're interested in someone else. And so what happens is, um, because you can talk to someone else who's not dealing with the stress of your house. So how emotional things happen, you can talk to someone who they're not hanging on, they're not dealing with the stresses that's in your house. So you can have easy conversations without talking about bills, without talking about um, laundry, without talking about picking up the kids.
Everybody likes a garbage can where you can just dump.
Yeah, you can have it.
Yeah.
It's easy. And so it seems
And it's
easy
facadish.
um, because it is easy because there's no responsibility with it. None. So it's very attractive because it's shiny, new. It's about like looking
There's no judgment.
at that G Wagon on the lot.
Oh.
It look real good and it's beautiful. It's nice until you get that first car payment, pay the insurance, put gas in it, got to do that first tire rotation, got to get that first oil change, all of that.
All the maintenance.
It's pretty on the lot. It's nice to drive the first month and a half before you have to pay that first car note and before you have to start doing maintenance. It's luxury. But if you can't afford luxury, or if all you can pay is the car note, but you can't pay for the upkeep, then you got a problem.
Mm.
And that's what happens with a lot of infidelity, emotional or physical, or however. It looks good for the moment until
You have to invest.
you have to invest. What you say? Communicate it. If you're not communicating with each other, the devil will communicate with both. Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
it will.
that's the truth, man.
And communicate the wrong stuff. Um, and make you think things that's not there, blow up stuff because you're not talking to each other. And so you start assuming things or you start making mountains out of molehills because you're not talking to each other. So you start making assumptions. So you really must, you have to do that. So the relationship might look more appealing on the surface, and that person may say all the right things and may even represent all that you feel you may be missing. I think it was some movie. It might have been Why Did I Get Married? Yeah, they talked about the 80-20. I remember this. And they made the analogy that you could have 80% at your house.
80-20.
80-20, yeah. So you could have, you know, 80%, but you could leave for 20 because 20 looks good because you're not getting it at the house. But then when you leave and realize all that's over there is 20 and you left 80 because 20 look good when you ain't getting it, but you don't realize that's all it is 20 at the time. So we have to be very, very careful. And so commitment and faithfulness has to be intentional. And the thing of it is, you all have to determine what does faithfulness look like to each other.
Mm.
What does it look like to each other? How does your mate, your spouse define faithfulness? How does your you know how do how did you all discuss opposite sex friendships? Did you all discuss if you had them prior? If they happen while you are together? The one thing you do not want is something to be miscommunicated, misconstrued. You keep that's another thing about keeping the lines of communication open. Um, so all of that you have to discuss. You have to talk through. What are you all comfortable with? So it's very important, baby.
No, it is very important, and you have to be able to define that. And those things change over years as you begin to grow and things of that, and you begin to learn one another. Um, those things change over the as you go on your journey. Those values, they don't lessen, but they just change. So you had to be able to communicate those things in order to keep your relationship intact and the integrity of your relationship intact. So you have to. It's an ever evolving work. It's nothing that you can just um, um, become slack in. It's something that you have to work at this thing as much and as often as you can. You have to invest into it. So which is why surrounding yourself around like-minded couples. Um, you know, um, I ain't talking about age-wise, because you'll tend to find that a lot of younger couples that are younger in age and younger in marriage, of course, they tend to want to hang around a lot of older couples. But it may not be wise for the older couple to always reach out to confide in the younger couple. So
Very true.
you have to be able to differentiate the mentor mentee portion
Hmm.
versus the friendship and relatability portion of the marriage. So it's a lot that comes with it. So you just have to work at it, man. You really do. You have to work at it.
And the whole mentorship is a very good thing.
Yeah,
Having marriage mentors, so they don't have to be your friends
yeah,
per se, but they can be your mentors. So people who've been married a while and you trust them, um, and you trust them to really, uh, to talk to people that you can, outside of your family.
yes,
It is very important
yes.
to have people to we will never reiterate this enough about confiding your relationship problems with your family.
Yeah.
Not a good practice at all. At all. Um, so, you know, find some relationship mentors that can help you uh,
Yeah.
navigate when you get to difficult times. We tell couples that we do counseling with or premarital counseling. We don't leave them. We're here. We're still available, um, because this journey you have to have somebody
You can
with
talk
you
to.
that you can talk to.
Yeah.
Um,
Say Mike.
Mike said it's important to evaluate your relationship with every phase of life.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Um, you have to. Like I think we talked about how we talked about several times how you're not the same
They
people.
did.
You're not the same people. When you first got married, we were 27 and 30. We 47 and 50 now. We are 20 years. We are 47 and 50. So we're different people. And we're glad we're different people.
Yeah.
Uh,
You should want your spouse to evolve and grow over those years. You don't want to, be dealing with the same uh, mentality um, 20 years ago that you're still dealing with the same mentality now. You know, that ain't healthy.
at all. If
No.
I if I was if I am 47 still acting and the same that I was at 27, we got a lot of problems.
We got a big problem.
We got a huge problem because that means I have not evolved.
As much change as I like to see, yeah, we got a big
Yeah, we wouldn't have made it. We would have made it. Um, Seek resources. So that goes back to mentorship, counseling. And here's the thing. Nothing has to be wrong to go to counseling.
No.
Um, Most of us feel like that, and most people don't go until there's something wrong, but nothing has to be wrong. Sometimes you may want to be proactive to say, maybe at the
Just
five,
continue to
yeah,
sharpen your iron.
yeah,
You know.
let's do a check in, because sometimes it's hard for people to check in, to have hard conversations. So sometimes you need a third party. It just may be hard, but make sure you use your resources. Um, the next one is establish a routine for checking in with your spouse. Um, Making and so they are talking about if you have a break, but we're talking about you always need to have check-ins with your spouse. And check-in is when you all intentionally are checking in. So you all know we talk about our coffee dates that we've been slack on. Is
Lazy.
getting up. But we have our coffee dates sometimes where we are intentional and we do get up and we get up early, we have coffee, and we truly check in, like what's really going on. How are you feeling? What's
Hmm.
going on with you? Like when we know we really have not been communicating,
And
or
life just sets in.
yeah,
Ain't
like
nothing wrong
nothing
or anything like
wrong.
that.
Yeah,
Life just sets in. You just get into your routine, with life, and you already know how to coexist with each other, but it's just good just to sit down, have a face to face, and to say, "Hey,
yeah,
how you doing over there?" So ain't nothing got to be wrong in order to check in. It's just the check in is to see how you're doing,
the
make sure
chick,
you're still
yeah,
functioning, see where we are, not necessarily relational wise, but just where we are in general. What about Facebook?
um, and I think it's preventive. It's like when you have your annual preventive care checkups, um, but it should be more than annual. um, but definitely more than annual, at least monthly, if not weekly, if not bi-weekly. Just you all right, and especially now because things have changed, but truly checking in. But I think the question becomes, have that conversation. How often do we need to check in? How often do you need, and one may need it more than the other. That's the thing. So somebody may need to check in every day. Somebody might need to check in weekly. Somebody might be like, look, let's just do this once a month. I'm good. But you gotta talk to see who needs what. Um, but be willing.
Now listen, this ain't a household conversation. This ain't how we paying bills conversation.
Uh-uh.
This ain't what we're doing with the kids conversation. This ain't what we're doing at the church conversation. This ain't what we're
Really.
doing on vacation conversation. This is a conversation where you are taking a special interest of being undivided attention into your spouse, where you just want to just sit back and no phones,
No phones.
leave them where they are, no TV, no radio, no distractions. It's just you two, and you just talk. You know, how are you? You know,
Really.
really, how are you? So, it's that kind of conversation, and of course that works for us. But you have to do what works for you.
Yeah.
But those are just some major, suggestions.
Mhm.
But you can't make it about everything else because then you defeat the purpose of the check-in. So
Yeah. It's really about eliminating distractions. It's about um learning and just really connecting. And so a lot of this is preventive so that you don't get to the place of disconnection. It's about trying to make sure that you're guarding and avoiding that place of disconnection.
Yeah, that's right. It's a mental and
Yeah,
emotional check
that's
in.
it. A
That's
check
exactly what it
in.
is.
That's
Yeah,
exactly what it is.
yeah,
Because sometimes, like to Rob's point, um, you can be on the go so much
yeah.
that you get that whole like we just passing in the night, and it's like, wait, babe, you all right? You know, and and you just really just want to say you good. You know, you all right? I'm here. We need to talk because you got children at home. Like our one can fill up the room, fill it all up.
Yes, she can.
And so, you know, sometimes we just have to get up a little earlier or we stay up later. Whatever it is, you find that time where you all can truly just check in, and you know, and just talk. And it even if you only have about 15 minutes.
Hmm.
But here's the thing: if your calendar is so full that you can't check in with your spouse, your calendar is too full.
Yeah, your life too full.
You need to take some stuff off because your marriage, your mate, your spouse should be a priority. And if it's too full for you to have a check in, it's too full. The last thing is reintroducing yourself. So part of this check in is really when you realize you're changing, when you realize things are evolving, um, and you really have to just say, hey, this is going on the inside of me. And I sometimes we have stuff happening inside of us and we don't really even know how to put it into words. Um, and sometimes if you're a person who you don't communicate well already, um, it's sometimes hard to have those conversations. But if you know that something is happening on the inside of you, and you can't put it into words, but you know that there's something happening, you know, share with your spouse. I don't know what's going on right now,
But pray.
but pray for me. I feel different. I feel very different. That happened to me this year. Um, Probably started back in March with my job. I just felt very, very different. My job was always stressful, but it was a different kind of stress. And I did not understand it. And I told Rob, I said, I don't get it. I don't understand. I didn't. And it took me a long time to figure it out. But he was there when I cried, when I prayed, with my anxiety, with everything that I went through before I completely got peace about what I needed to do. But I knew it was something. Hey, Roosevelt.
So, Roosevelt.
But I knew it was something that was changing, and I could not put my finger on it, but it was different. It was completely different. So when you know things are changing or something shifting inside of you, even when you can't even put a finger on it, it's important to have those conversations. Rob has done it with me. He, you know, there's been times he's like, I don't know what it is, but um, just pray for me. Um, and he'll tell me sometimes, I don't need you to do anything. I don't need no advice. And I tell him sometimes, I don't need advice. I just need you to listen. Or
Know what hat to wear or
yeah,
ask.
yeah. I just need you to know what's going on. If I'm acting a little different, because sometimes when we act different, that throws the other person off. It's like what's going on. And sometimes you just need to tell them, I'm going through something. I don't even know what it is. And it's okay. 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 Go ahead. Go ahead. Because I was getting ready to close up here in a minute.
Oh, well, never mind.
Okay.
Okay, no, that's it.
And it's okay to say that. It really is okay to say that. But don't the worst thing you can do is keep your spouse, your significant other, your partner in the dark.
Mm.
Don't do that. Don't
Especially
do
when the
that.
dynamics inside of you change.
Yep.
You know, you leave you leave um, too much room to discover, and you're painting a picture that where you can just move one way or another, and that's not fair.
Well,
So you got to be able to at least communicate what's going on inside of you, spiritually wise. So it's
yeah,
important. It
it
is
really is.
important. You think it doesn't matter, but it really and truly does. It matters. It matters to the nth degree. It matters.
It really does. Um, so even when you're evolving, reintroduce yourself, relearn each other, and it's fun. It really
Yeah.
is
Mm-hmm.
fun. Um, it's interesting. Um, when you can see each other's evolution, when you see each other's transformation, to be there for the ride. Um, and and sometimes it's not always easy, but you have to know that's life. It happens. It happens. And when you're committed to this thing, remember when you make a covenant. Um, I love that, Lynn. Marriage is heart work.
Mm,
Yes,
that's absolutely
yes,
right.
heart's work. I love that. Yes, yes, yes. Heart's work. Yes, it is.
You know
Eh,
what you gonna?
Roosevelt, where you riding your spot? You need to quit talking about these motorcycles, Roosevelt. You want to come up here and start some mess at the end here, Roosevelt. um, but I love that, Lynn. Marriage is heart's
It is.
work, and that's exactly what it is. It's heart's work. Um, I love it.
You need to coin that phrase.
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna put that on the page, Lynn, if that's okay. I'm gonna give you writer's credit though, author's credit. But I love that it is heart's work. That's exactly what it is. Because it is a labor of love. That is it. It is a labor of love. And so we want to thank you all for joining us tonight. That was the end, but just reintroducing yourself and read that article. But again, we don't agree with the separation physically. I do want to say that, but you do sometimes have to reconnect and reinvent um, yourselves and with your relationships. Please be mindful. We put the information out about our marriage retreat November 13th and 14th.
Yeah.
Um, if you have questions, you can email us. We will talk about it every week up until then. We hope you can join us. We will have in person and virtual. So definitely will make sure hopefully everyone can attend. And we want to thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you for the dialogue. If you have questions, definitely inbox us or email us. We thank you all. We will see you all next week. God bless you and good night.
Every week.
Stay safe.
Mask up.